Contracts can help prevent content creator burnout. I'm Angela Brown, and this is my journey through content recovery burnout. This is an interesting situation because I inherited two new projects yesterday, and neither of them came with contracts. So we're going to talk about contracts for a second and how that can prevent burnout from content creators that get caught up in legal battles. All right, so there's some content creators and they're working with Lifelong Productions on two children's books. And the first one was a project that came to us, and we were able to unravel all of the weird misconceptions that had not been put into contracts. And within 24 hours, we got our second project as a referral from the first project. So here's what it looks like in terms of content creation and then in terms of contracts. So what happened in this particular scenario, there was somebody that was writing a children's book, and they got their family member around and said, hey, what do you think of this idea? And the family got excited and said, yes, this is a great idea. Let's publish this. Well, a couple of years went by and the text was worked on and some illustrations were worked on. And by the time it all came together, there were a whole bunch of family members that were involved. However, there were 3 family members that filed copyrights thinking it was their book. So when they brought it to Lifelong Productions and said, hey, we're ready to publish this, no, you are not. There are 3 copyright holders and all of you think you own the copyright. So that's a small problem. Nothing was in writing, but everybody had been promised their share of the finished work. So when this book sells, you will receive X amount of dollars in royalties. None of that was in writing. So what we had to do is go to every member that was involved in this particular deal, and some friends, even friends were involved, and there was an illustrator that had been hired. So there were some issues. What we had to do is we had to have contracts put in place where everyone released their promises from the past so that we could start over again. And starting today, here are the new promises and the new contracts, but it's going to go on paper today. So the new deal starts today. Whatever was promised in the past, we're going to sign away those rights. We can't go forward with previous promises because they don't exist, number one. The book was never published, and so whatever was promised is not delivered yet. And so we need to base our ideas on today. And today, a couple of things have changed. From a couple of years ago, AI is real big right now. And so illustrations as well as the content can be duplicated and replicated very easily today. And so to go back in time and say this was so valuable a long time ago, maybe it was, it's not as valuable today. Also, in the last few years, kids who read children's storybooks and the parents that read them are doing a lot of online activities now. Many kids have their own tablet. And so to buy a hardback child's book, it might not even be as prevalent as it once was. It's possible that grandparents are not buying hardback books for kids for Christmas. Maybe they're buying them apps and games. So the monies that were promised from a long time ago are possibly not in effect today. Okay. So there are a whole bunch of weird things like that that we had to walk through and say, hey, new contracts because times have changed and let's make them current on today's expectations. So we had to reset the expectations. Okay. So one of the things about having contracts in place as a content creator is, number one, it's going to put everybody on the same page. And so it's going to help clarify the expectations as well as the deliverables. And what is the deliverable? The deliverable is when, as a content creator, you do a branded deal with someone or you publish a product or what have you, and you're working with somebody. At the end, all of you will come to terms on what the finished project looks like. And that has to be set in stone up front so that when it's finished, everyone goes, oh, yes, the project is done. Because if there are no deliverables and the expectations are not clear, there's what's called scope creep. And the scope creep is where the scope of the project kind of creeps into something else. For example, on this book, the children's book illustrator is hoping to win a Caldecott Award, and that is for illustrators of children's books. Okay, as we rounded that out and said that is a goal of this book, let's add that into the scope of the job, because we don't want to publish the book and say, here's the book, da, 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 it's finished, and then have them say, well, we were hoping you were going to submit it for this award. We need a marketing campaign. We need some promotion. We need copies of the book sent to all these different library editors who are members of the selection committee for the Caldecott Award and all these other things, right? So then it would creep into something else. So without clarification, and this is where the stress happens and where it leads to burnout and where you're like, I thought I was done with the project and yet I'm not, the contracts will save you because it will help clarify the expectations as well as the scope of the job and as well as the final deliverables once the job is complete. The next thing to talk about and to discuss are the payment terms. Do I get paid up front as a content creator? Do I get paid halfway when the project is through? Do I get paid when the project is complete? And so those terms must be spelled out. Who is going to pay for the project? Is it going to be a particular company? Is it going to be the marketing department? Is it going to be their agent? Who is going to make the payment? Then the next thing is, how are they going to make the payment? Is it going to be a wire transfer? Is it going to be direct deposit? Are they going to send it via cash or check or Venmo, or how does that work? And so once those terms are all spelled out, then there are no surprises. Everybody knows who's making the payment, how much they're going to pay, and how that's going to be delivered and when. All right, then the next thing is the intellectual property rights. If you go into agreement with a brand deal and you think that you own the rights to that, but they think they do, and they use it for all of their other marketing in perpetuity, which means like from now through forever, you might think, oh no, I was supposed to get paid on that every time that ad ran. You must clarify who owns the intellectual property and for how long. For example, if you write a children's book, and right now we're publishing 2 of them. All right, so if you are writing a children's book, what happens if you're nearing the end of your life and then you die? Who gets those rights? And did you know in the United States, you can will your intellectual property for 75 years after you die, but that has to be specified up front. So this family that had no contracts in place, should any member of the team die right now, that's the end of it for them, right? The rights don't revert to someone else because there are no rights to revert. Nothing is in writing. And so their heirs would make nothing should the book take off and should lots of copies be sold. So we have to be very clear about having all that in place up front. Who owns the rights? Also, there should be a conflict resolution clause. Like if everything goes south and none of us are happy with the way that this works, how do we get out of this contract? Because there will come a time, and it needs to be possible, that in any contract, one can get out. We see lots of people that go into marriage, and marriage is a wonderful contract where people are like, I love you for the rest of my life. And we make commitments like till death do us part, in sickness and in health. But yet divorce is really prevalent in our country, and lots of people break that contract. So what happens when you break the contract? And that needs to be spelled out in terms. All right, then the next thing is, with that cancellation clause, what is the legal precedent? Now, the legal precedent, if you're to get a divorce, is that we go to divorce court. And the judge knows the rules for divorce. And he will grant half of the property to one person and half of the property to another. And if there are children involved, there will be certain parameters that will determine which parent gets the kids and under what circumstances there get to be joint parental custody or visitations or what have you, right? There are legal precedents that are already in place that protect both parties. So there need to be legal precedents in place for the brand deals that content creators are doing. So if you go into a brand deal and you're like, hey, all this stuff has to be in a contract form, you're going to stop doing fancy word of mouth deals. And this is a really big trip up for content creators, especially new ones that get an email from somebody that says, hey, I own a XYZ company and we have this particular product. Like for me, it's a vacuum company, and they'll be from China or something. And they'll say, I've got this amazing product that we've just created, and it vacuums and it mops and it sweeps and it dusts your house all in one blow. Do you want to market it for us? And they send an email, and then they try to break their way out of the contract. And so we say, we would love to work with you. Here's our contract. Oh, we don't like the contract. We don't do it that way. And we're like, we don't do it any other way. And so when you refuse to work on any agreement that is not following these parameters of having a contract, what you're doing is reducing a lot of stress. Because if you go into agreement and none of those parameters are in place, You might put a lot of time and effort in and then never get paid, or you don't know who is going to pay you, or you don't know how they're going to pay you. Or if you want out of the deal, you don't know how to get out of the deal. Okay. So there are a whole bunch of things that are at play. And if you will follow those rules, that will really reduce the stress. And then it will keep you from legal battles later on. One of the legal battles that I want to talk about is a cancellation and termination clause. And the cancellation and termination clause says if I get canceled on halfway through me doing my part of this, I still get paid. And so you can have what's called a pay or play, like you're going to pay me either way. So if I start on this project and I agree to it and I clear my schedule and I don't take any other deals and I'm focused on your project, if for some reason you pull out on me, I still get paid. That way you haven't invested years or weeks or months or whatever of your life for a project that then got canceled because the company changed their mind. The next thing we got to talk about is liability protection. And the liability protection is if, for example, I'm a health food brand ambassador and a company comes to me and they say, will you help us market our health food product? And you say, yes. So you make this amazing ad for them and it does really well and a lot of people buy it and yay, success. Then a couple of months down the road, people say, I'm having adverse effects from the thing that you recommended. And you, content creator, are responsible because you told me it was good and you made me buy it. If you have liability protection, you simply turn that contract over to your attorney and say, I don't have anything to do with this. I have liability protection and I cannot be named in the lawsuit. So they cannot come after you and your personal assets. That is all going to bounce back to the health food company that had the products and the promises in the first place. Okay. So the liability protection will save you in the event that there are glitches in the product. And so we're hoping that the company is as good as they say they are. And as a content creator, you should do your due diligence to make sure that you're not over promising on something that could backfire on you or the company. So when we talk about contracts, what we're talking about is making sure that going into the future, you've set yourself up for success, not failure. And one of the things that you can go forward with, knowing that, hey, I crossed all my T's and I dotted all my I's and everything is in a contract, is that later on, you're not going to spend years of your life in litigation over some deal that went south. Okay. Because I promise you this, if that happens, it gets very expensive and it will steal all of your thunder. It will steal all of your enthusiasm. It will make you want to never do another brand deal again. And it will make you frustrated that you find yourself in this situation. And so in order to prevent future burnout, we're going to take steps right now to future-proof our business. So going into these contracts with these two new books, the very first thing we did is let's everybody get on a Zoom call. All y'all tell me what you think is going on, and then I'm going to send contracts to all of you, and we're going to unravel everything that was done. We're going to start over again starting today. So starting today and moving forward, we have new contracts in place, and anyone that does not sign the contract is not part of this deal. Whoa. There you go, right? Making it easy on ourselves. All right, quick update on how I'm doing. And I want you to leave comments and questions in the notes below if you have questions about the legal process or the types of contracts you should sign, because we got a lot of information and we can help you out. All right, the next thing is the sleep that I got last night. And this is my return from burnout. And so I'm catching you up day by day on a bunch of things like sleep. Last night, I got 6 hours and 55 minutes of sleep. I know, I'm getting better at this, right? Half my brain works when I'm awake. The other half works when I'm asleep. And so now I'm going to pay attention to getting enough sleep so that both sides of my brain will work together instead of one side of my brain, which is the awake side, trying to do all the work. All right, then the next thing to mention is our hydration. How am I doing on hydration? I'm drinking between 110 and 112 ounces of water a day. And that includes also herb tea and also apple cider vinegar with my lemon juice, which is my morning drink that helps keep my sinuses clean and my throat going good so I can still do live streams all during the day. And I've got 2 more today. So I'm drinking my apple cider vinegar early this morning. The next thing is the intermittent fasting. And this is a really big change for me because I did not intermittent fast. And over the last 26 days, I have, and I've created a new norm for myself where it has skyrocketed my energy by creating ketones and tapping into another source of energy that I didn't even know I had. So you have energy that's created by carbohydrates. You have another source of energy that's created by ketones. And when you tap into the ketone one, it's much longer lasting and you will feel fantastic. So I love that. All right, the next thing is the nourishment. When I'm eating and I'm not fasting, I'm paying very close attention to what I put inside my body. And so right now we're doing no bags, which means like no potato chip bags, no Malar bags, no of those heavy plastic bags that can't be recycled, nothing that comes in a bag, a box, or a can. And so anything that has high preservatives in it that will last forever in your pantry, we're not eating that. We're eating the things that the earth gave us, which is fresh, raw fruits and vegetables and protein. And I'm saying animal protein like chicken and fish. I'm staying away from all red meat right now because my body just it doesn't do so well with it. So chicken and fish and eggs. Okay. And then also natural forms of protein that are like nuts and chia seeds and things like that. All right. So then the next thing are my workouts. I've been working out every single day, Monday through Friday, and it has improved my I can't even read this. Cognitive function. It's improved my posture. I know that it has boosted my energy levels and all of the other things that come from working out. I've noticed a huge shift in my moods and my attitudes. And that's really important because if you have to go day by day, meeting through meeting, live stream through live stream, you got to be on your A game. And there's not any quicker, faster way that I've ever learned in my entire life than the burnout recovery process that I am on right now. That includes the intermittent fasting and the changing of preservatives, getting them out of my body, flushing my system with lots of water, getting enough sleep at night. I mean, this is new stuff for me. Is it new that I didn't know it? No, I kind of always knew it, but I never did it, right? So now I'm doing it, and these are my results. All right, so content creator process. As a content creator, we are flying in the business. Like I said, at Lifelong Productions, we picked up 2 new contracts yesterday. Well, in the last 48 hours with these 2 children's books. And not only do these children's books want to be published, they want to win the Newbery and the Caldecott Awards. And so we are going for the highest level of the most prestigious awards as we publish these books. And so if you are working on a project and you want to join us, come over to lifelongproductions.com where you can join us and we can help you achieve your dreams as well. What are some of the challenges? Now, no goodness in any business happens without challenges. And some of the challenges are the things that I just mentioned. We have deals that came to us that were not, I'm going to say they were on shaky ground. Okay. The rules and the parameters of the deals were not clear. And everybody was thinking that they were owed something else. And so we had to literally unravel everything that was in existence and then start completely over. And so that's kind of a challenge because you have people that are like, I'm not going to sign anything. If you don't trust me, I shouldn't be part of this deal. We're like, dude, if you died today, everything that you've worked toward is gone. You have nothing in writing. Therefore, your kids get none of it. And they're like, oh, maybe I should sign something, right? We're not doing it to be mean to you. We're not doing it because, I don't know, we don't trust you and the handshake way is the better way. It's none of those things. It's if it's in writing, everybody that's playing this game knows what the rules are. It's like if you were to play a game out in the courtyard with the neighborhood kids and everyone was making up their own rules, you would never know who won the game and how to keep score, right? So everybody needs to know the rules and it needs to be in writing in case someone forgets. They can go back and they can reread the information, right? So those are some of the challenges, but they just are common sense challenges. So nobody gets hurt from having those challenges. That's just the way it is. All right, we are wrapping up our 30-day window over at lifelongproductions.com/burnout. This is my burnout recovery process, and I want to officially say I have recovered from burnout. My body, my brain, my work, everything is back. I'm back full force. Again, we're picking up contracts. We're flying. We're completing our projects. All of our commitments are coming through on time. We're getting rave ratings and reviews from fans and from followers and from clients. So I'm going to say that we are out of burnout mode. And I'm going to go through a couple more days to take you all the way through to day 30. At the end of this process, we're moving and segueing over to more teachable elements that we can share with you as content creators. But I want you to come back to the beginning of this program, the Content Creator Burnout, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're starting to slip. And find where you are in the scale. Am I on day 2? Am I on day 3? How do you fit in? And just watch what we're doing. And I'm documenting all of that at lifelongproductions.com/burnout. This will live forever over there. And this is a part of lifelongproductions.com. Lifelongproductions.com is paying for me to do this series for you. And as vulnerable as it is, sharing with you what I ate, how I slept, what I wear, my before and after pictures of losing weight, all the things, I'm going to continue that so that you can see month after month how I do. And that's going to be kind of my daily journal. So you can jump in and ask me questions anywhere along the way. I'm there daily doing updates, and I'm there to help you. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of things for today. My first thing that I want to leave with you is it is very important to get all of your contracts in writing. Okay. Contracts in writing prevent future burnout. The next thing that I want to leave with you, number 1, you matter. And number 2, you are enough.